Okay, I don't know for sure where this is going to go. And this is obviously from a while back at this point. Last week or whenever the fuck it was. So, the farm's been having some problems and messages have been disappearing, and, I don't know. But from, multiple weeks back now, I guess, there was the whole thing, the San Francisco Gay Men's Choir did that video where they sung about how they're coming for your kids. So, yeah, a lot of people were understandably pissed off about that, especially when it turned out, I think, at least 2 of the guys that were a part of that are actually, they're convicted sex offenders. So it's like they're child molesters. And it's like, that's not a good look. It's not a good look at all. And apparently, the farms took exception, understandably so, to Just Some Guy on YouTube, apparently defending the Gay Men's Choir. I don't know. He said some ridiculous bullshit. I think he said something about how because children weren't allowed to join the choir, then it was okay for the choir to sing about coming for your kids or something like. I mean, it's just like a retarded argument. It's like, no, it's not okay, dude. It's not okay to, it's not okay for child molesters to sing about "we're coming for your kids." It's just not. I guess probably an indication that he doesn't have any kids. Not that I do either, unfortunately, but but difference. Difference is that it's like he probably doesn't want any. Anyway, and I can't remember. Is he gay? Is Just Some Guy gay, or maybe he's bi or something? I can't remember. Seems like he said something about that at some point, and I don't really pay attention to him that much. Anyway, all right. So this is. I know this was discussed a while back on this thread. Yes, and just mentioned that. The Just Some Guy tweets defending the San Francisco Gay Men's Choir. Saturday night, Nick Rekieta had a stream featuring Tug, Just Some Guy, Golden Eagle, Mr. Obvious, That Star Wars Girl, Yellow Flash, and more. That is a shit ton of people to have on a stream. Damn. A fateful super chatter got through to broach the topic of the tweets, and Just Some Pedo Defender had a 28-minute diatribe to defend said point. So I guess we'll listen to that. And I would listen to it in double speed. Well, actually, no, I guess we can. It's at the 2-hour and 12-minute mark of this 8-hour live stream. It says, don't worry, I clipped it for you in full context. But you got a 10-minute and a 10-minute and an 8-minute and 42-second. I don't know if these are sequential. Presumably they are. But I don't think we actually want to watch these clips. I mean, unless we have to. As long as that's still there, we'll go ahead and watch it on YouTube. Because on YouTube, you can double speed it. On this thing, it's like you can download it and that full screen. It's like that's it. You can't watch it in double speed or 1.5 or whatever. So it's like I'd rather listen to it at faster rate. So what is that? 2-hour, 12-minute.
Guy about the tweets about the San Francisco Gay Men's Choir. I want to give him a fair shake, but I disagree with him. I think we should crucify all pedos.
Well, your problem is that you have a claim that's been made that hasn't been verified. So one of the things that I like to do when people...
Okay, what claim... God damn it, I fucking hate that. What claim is it that hasn't been verified? Is it the claim that there are child molesters that are part of the Gay Men's Choir? Because I'm pretty sure, like I said, I mentioned this previously. It's like, yeah, somebody, can't remember who. It could have been Razor Fist, or it could have been JDA, or it could have been somebody. I don't know who it was that I watched, but I watched somebody, and they fucking pulled up the public, records of these guys, their criminal records. So we know that. It's like we know they showed a screenshot of the guys that are part of the choir, and they showed the matching pictures, mugshots, or whatever of the guys that have been arrested for and convicted of child molestation or whatever. So we know that. It's like that's not if that's what he's fucking referring to. It's like, dude, it's proven. Don't really try not to stick your foot any farther in it. Then I don't know.
people get something under their craw and they start talking about it is I like to find out where they got their information from. So the proof that the choir is full of pedos is that someone went and took their names and then checked the sex offender registry in California, the state that has tens of millions of people. And
again, as I said, I've seen a video where they had a full layout of all the people in the choir or whatever, or at least all the people I guess that were in that song or whatever, and all of their pictures, and then they compared those with mugshots, and it's like, yes, 2 of them I believe were convicts. So that, I mean, again, that is a thing. It's not a, it's not like, somebody just looked up some names that happen to be similar. It's like, no. I've seen the pictures. I've seen the matching pictures that somebody did a fucking video of, you dipshit.
And then they looked for matches as if you would never find one. And then when they found the match, went, oh, that's the same person. Well, did you check to see where they were from? No. Well, guess what? I did. So you have people who you're saying are in this chorus who live 200 miles away. Do you know what sex?
Well, I don't know who's saying that, but like I said, what I have seen is, a video that showed the mugshot and the screenshots of the guys that are actually in the choir. So, I don't know what he's talking about.
Offenders have to do when they're on registries, they have to be available within 20 minutes at any point, because if they're not, they go back to jail. They get checked all the time. They get asked what they're doing. If they can't verify what they're doing, they get in trouble. So in order for this theory to work, all of these guys would all
not a theory.
Have to be colluding with each other to hide this information from their parole officers. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Not only that, no one could actually verify any of it. No one of any.
And it says all these guys. As far as I know, it's only 2 of them. So
credible news organization checked it. They couldn't find anything. So the greatest likelihood is,
if by credible news organization you're talking about the mainstream media, then you're beyond help.
You're wrong.
I will say something like the pics look the same, but I mean, even then, like, there's like 2 of them where they look very similar, and I shit you not, like one of the pictures, it's like the guy, and he just doesn't have a mustache or doesn't have a beard, and then the other picture is a beard, but they look exactly the same otherwise.
They look similar, but you're talking about 2 very pixelated images. Because I looked at the one that they were comparing. The image that's on the actual registry, which is astounding that this would be on the registry, because you'd think they'd just be able to get it from the state. It's like they took it with an old flip phone and then put the shit online. So it's just like this tiny one.
I could be mistaken, but as far as I remember, whatever video I saw, it didn't look super pixelated or anything. It's like it was pretty clear. As a matter of fact, I don't remember it being like, oh, one of them he's got facial hair and one of them doesn't. It's like I thought they're just exactly the same. But anyway, I don't know. Whatever.
100 by 100 pixel picture that they've blown up to like 400 pixels, so you can barely see what the guy actually looks like. And you're comparing it with some random screenshot taken from some small square in this massive collage that they did, and going, well, they kind of look alike. Okay, they could look alike, but is that the same person? Is my question. If you can't verify that those are the same people, then I'm not going to buy it. And if your only evidence is, well, some people on the internet said that they're the same people, I don't believe you. Show me the proof before you start claiming that every member of the chorus is a bunch of pedophiles.
I don't think anybody claimed that every member of the chorus was a bunch of pedophiles. Nobody fucking said that.
I think that's a completely reasonable position to have, is don't tell me everyone in the group is something if you can't prove it.
Yeah, I know.
No. Somebody said 2 people in the group. 2 people out of however the fuck many there were, dozens or whatever, are pedos. It's like, I mean, do you really think that that's not believable? That 2 of them would be? It's like, no, you said all of them. I was like, nope, nobody said that. Nobody said all of them were.
Never made that claim. When I covered it, I said something like, there's a rumor that a couple of these guys may or may not be on this thing. They look kind of similar, but, other than that, we really don't know. But there's like 2 or a couple of them that look similar. But at the end of the day, and I said this in the video at the time, it doesn't really matter at all because the song itself and what they were making was really messed up.
Very true.
Oh,
are these the motherfuckers do the coming for your kids shit?
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
It's a stupid song to make, right? But we all understand that it's a tongue-in-cheek song. We all understood that, right?
Well, I mean, we get that.
Do we? Do we really? I'm not so sure anymore. I feel like the left are kind of taking the mask off. They have mistakenly thought that they have won, and now they think that they can go ahead and reveal their true intentions. They're going to find out that nope, they overplayed their hand.
The I'm coming part like several times. It's just
crazy. You do understand that they are joking, right?
It's California, so like you don't actually.
No, dude.
No, I don't necessarily know that they're joking. I really don't. Not anymore. I would have thought so 10 years ago. Sure, I would have been certain. Not just because I was a leftist, but because I just wouldn't have thought that, but now, not so much.
Joking is like when you're half joking. I'm sure they at least partially mean some of what they're saying.
I'm sure they do too. And that they want people to
Wait a minute, you just said that they were joking, but no, I believe that. Fuck you.
Actually agree with what they're saying. I do think that that's a thing, but we also understand from the tone of the way that they're talking that they're clearly
Well,
joking.
I think you're probably
I think
right.
they wanted
They wanted to like put the fucking song out, make everybody react and get outraged. I just don't think they were expecting what they fucking got.
Oh no, because they put the song out and it had been out for like 3 weeks, and they just assumed that no one but people who agree with them would ever see it. I don't know why you would be dumb enough to assume that. Like you would have to know at some point someone who doesn't agree with you is going to see this, and then look at the lyrics of your song.
Even in San
if
Francisco gay
person
men's
doesn't agree with it.
choir, I don't think there's many people that would like watch it that aren't fucking interested in it.
Look, for me, it's a matter of...
Well, again, probably all these gay men don't have kids, don't want kids, and don't understand how protective people who have kids are of their fucking kids. And so they do not comprehend the can of worms that they're opening when they go after the kids. They just don't get it.
Do they go in the convection oven or the regular oven? I don't, it's, I'm tired of this shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we could do it in the culture of my people and just get some fucking rocks.
Well, my standard of it is take the same situation and then reverse it. Would anyone actually have a problem with someone going up to gay kids and saying, we're going to convert you to Christianity?
Yeah,
No one would have a problem with it. Would you have a problem if they took those kids and put them into camps where they psychologically, physically, and sexually abused them? Well, in all likelihood, no. How do I know this? Because it actually happened for decades and no one gave a shit. So the same people that
I'm sorry. Nobody gave a shit? Lots of people gave a shit. What the fuck are you on about? And also, converting you to Christianity and saving your soul, although obviously I disagree with the way that some people go about trying to do that, is not quite the same as, and I realize that he's trying to go with the, oh, well, they just mean they're trying to convert your kids to being gay. And it's like, well, first of all, how are you supposed to do that? Because supposedly you're either gay or you're not. Supposedly you're born that way. Although now, of course, they're really trying to change that narrative and make it all about, oh, it's a choice, blah, 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 because of the whole trans thing. What a tangled web, But anyway, we know that at least some of them almost certainly mean it in the more perverse, we're coming for your kids way. We know that. We know that some of these evil fuckers, they really are wanting to, come molest your kids. So, let's not pretend like all of them are just completely, innocently like, we're gonna, convince your kids how great it is to be gay. I mean, that's kind of fucking weird anyway, but anyway, not the same thing, False equivalency is my point.
had that done to them are the ones making the fucking song. So at a certain point, when you're being upset about it, you have to realize you kind of did this to them. Did you think that they weren't eventually want to get revenge on you for fucking them up? So
excuse me? Revenge. It's fascinating. Revenge. So he thinks that, these gay guys, they were, persecuted or whatever by their conservative families when they were growing up, and therefore they're going to get revenge by coming after the children of people that didn't do that to them. Yeah, that makes a lot of goddamn sense, doesn't it? Yep. Just some pedo defender. Yep. A fucking moron. I can't believe that anybody, including EVS, by the way, and a whole bunch of people in CG, talked about this guy like, he's some, he's brilliant. We love his opinions on shit. It's like, careful talking people up, because then they turn around and, oof.
I know that's kind of the problem, isn't it?
Responsibility here. Like, I don't give a damn what happened to any of them.
Exactly.
Whatsoever.
Thank you.
It doesn't give you a right to come
It doesn't give them a right to make a song joking about shit that was actually done to them for real. That's the conflict that I'm having here, is that people are upset about a song when other people are actually doing real things.
I mean, like, if a rape victim came out with a song that was about, like, tongue-in-cheek saying that they were going to go rape fucking kids or something, that's
not what happened.
No, I'm just saying, like, in terms of, like...
much, though, what their motivations are. Like, you don't know these people. Nothing could happen to a lot of them. They just listen to the constant propaganda of, you're a victim, the world's against you.
But isn't it also possible that what you're assuming is the case is also something that you're just assuming? If you're not willing to accept the possibility that you could have the wrong assumption, you can't ask someone else to assume the same thing. You can't assume the worst of them and then say that when someone goes...
Stupid.
Yeah, it is.
I don't care about the circumstances, the motivations.
The song is something that no one would have had a problem with 20 years ago. This could have been on South Park and you would have found it funny.
There's worse shit on South Park.
No, but just in all seriousness, if this song were something where it's like you have some conservative character from the show watching some like gay play or something, and then you're singing the normal song, right? And then in their mind, this is a song that you're hearing, this is one from the Gay Men's Chorus, we would have all laughed. Right? We would have considered it ridiculous.
I wouldn't have.
That you would assume that that's what they
stronger
think.
in the past. This is the sort of thing.
As I said, it's like some people, I guess, that laugh at anything from South Park and they don't have any problem with it. As I mentioned before, it's like, what's his ass, the fat bastard. No offense to fat bastard. The fat fuck. Michael Moore. You know, he did the Bowling for Columbine thing, and he used, you know, it's like that's my first encounter with South Park was fucking clips of South Park used in that to try to further his bullshit propaganda about, you know, about how black people never ever do anything bad. You know, they're unfairly maligned. They'd never done anything bad, and you know, it's like it's not like black people, you know, fought wars against each other, captured enemies, and then sold those enemies, which were already slaves in Africa, to Europeans to export as slaves. No, that's not what happened. Evil white people showed up and kidnapped innocent black people from Africa who were just minding their own business. Oh yes, you know. So that was horseshit. So no, I would not automatically laugh at something from fucking South Park if I recognize it as bullshit propaganda. And even, I mean, when I watched that fucking movie of his, I was a fucking leftist. Keep in mind, I was a fucking leftist back then. But among the things that I was never particularly left-wing on, I guess, even as a leftist, was fucking guns, because I knew better. I was not a stupid ass believing all the bullshit that the left pushes about how bad guns are and so on and so forth. And I recognized, you know, at least some of their bullshit, even when I was considered myself to be on their side.
In the past, we would cause way more of an uproar than what we have now.
If they did it
Man.
straight, then yes. But if they did it as a joke, you would find it as a joke. So that's kind of the thing.
It's not a joke, man.
You asked me in there, though, JustSomeGuy. Do I assume the worst? Yes, I assume the worst of pretty much everyone.
Well, I do too. My general presumption is that everyone is acting with a sort of...
I do not like,
What are we talking about?
Being real, though, you know.
A bunch of gay dudes singing.
Somebody being a pedo, it is not a pedo. That is a get you fucked up in ways that, yeah. No,
That's the reason why I had the reaction to that, is because people are very quick to go along with it, and the problem is that people do not think.
No, I'm actually
one step ahead. They just
I'm
assume
with
that it's
JustSomeGuy
right.
on that one, because he's right. Like, you have people like accusing.
I skipped that whole chapter.
You know,
I mean, I assume some of them are. We can't.
Well, I mean, you can assume some of them are, but like, you know, you wouldn't like outright make the statement, this person is a pedophile, and like start blasting it online, would you?
Yeah, I did it.
Well, no, I get that, but I think that's what JustSomeGuy is
That is what
referring to.
happened. And so the
Like,
thing
other
that was
people-
kind of interesting about this is that it did its normal internet thing where it's like, oh, it's the talk of the town for a week, and then everyone drops it. So I was just waiting to see if anyone actually followed up to just double check, because they were saying they were getting death threats, and I'm like, well, I don't believe you, because you are on the left and y'all like to lie. So I'm sure somebody was saying something to you, and you might be like, but it's entirely possible that was true. So they said they contacted the police and the FBI. So my brain makes a very simple calculation. If you are a registered sex offender, and you are in part of this chorus who performs in front of crowds of kids, and sometimes at schools, which would mean you'll be in violation of your release, why in the fuck would you contact the FBI? Because they would be on your ass so fast. This is the dumbest thing that you could possibly do.
Well, I mean,
People do dumb things all the time, so I don't think that's really going to be a successful argument for you, in and of itself.
I'm like literally looking at people like some of the shit they're saying about JustSomeGuy in the chat, right? But that's the sort of shit like I get where he's coming from with it, right? I mean, look, it's very tongue in cheek. Obviously, I think they fucking know what they're doing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
but you know,
lies on people. They knew what they were doing. They just didn't calculate how badly it was going to go over.
and like you
Well,
said, like if you watch South Park, like, they have that whole, like they have like several NAMBLA episodes, the fucking Catholic Church episode,
Yeah.
right? I know that's way fucking worse than that song. Like the song's an implication of something to like trigger and outrage people, but like I don't think that they ever thought a bunch of people was gonna like make, I don't know, like just blow up over social media and everything.
Well,
They
they,
live in a bubble.
well, they put it out on their like some social media feed that they had. I don't think it was even on like a YouTube channel. They put it on something else before they put it on YouTube. And it's like for their little group. Nobody else was really going to see this. It's all for that sort of whatever community they're part of. That was it. That was all that was going to look at it. And I think it was Alex Jones got a hold of it, and that was it. So it went all out. And it's one of those things where it's like a little in joke that they're having with themselves, and it's all cute. And then everybody else hears it and goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because it makes no sense. Why would you write a song like this where it makes it sound like you're going to be targeting people? Like you have to understand. No one's
They
going
don't
to
understand.
like that.
Like, I got-
though. They do not understand. They're not
Yeah,
self-aware. They live in a bubble.
I got minor pushback because I've also read plenty of articles saying I brought my kid to the gay pride parade because I want to normalize kink.
So yeah,
to my
that's
child.
that's
like,
weird
yeah,
shit.
Yep.
What's going on?
speak.
That is absolutely something that they do now. So, no, and well, that's now that they have been doing for a long time. I don't think people have really realized how bad it is. And I remember thinking that like 20 fucking years ago. Again, when I was, very much still a leftist, I remember thinking that I don't have any problem with, with people wanting to, to normalize, as it were, the idea that it's okay to not be heterosexual. But even at the time, as a leftist, I considered it to be really fucking weird and kind of uncomfortable that the whole gay community seemed to want to, as a virtue signaling their, their virtuous diversity. It's like, oh, we have all kinds of people in our community. We have, and then they start listing off fetishes, kinks and fetishes. It's like, what? It's like, that's not, it's like, yeah, it's not the equivalent. It's not the equivalent of, we're diverse because, oh, look, black, Asian, white, whatever. We're diverse because, gay, straight, bi. No. It's like, it's not the same fucking thing when you're like, oh, look how diverse we are because we have leather daddies and bears and shit. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're talking about, like, you're talking about the side of things that should be, regardless of the sexuality involved, should be behind closed doors. It's like that's a private thing between you and your consenting partner, or I suppose partners. But still, it's like it's not something to be dressing in fetish attire, and parading down the street in a fucking leather thong and a gimp mask or some shit and expecting a bunch of kids to be there and clap for you. Fuck you, sick bastards.
Speaking of normalizing kink, we have another guest who joined the stream. What's up with that Star Wars girl?
Well, it's not to get too much more into that, but I remember when I lived in San Francisco, I didn't know what it was. My friends were like, "Hey, Anna, you like feet? We're going to this fetish fair." I did not think it was a sexual thing.
Oh, God, they took you to Folsom, didn't they?
Yes, they took me to the Folsom.
Oh, no.
I
I'm sorry.
But you went to a foot festival?
No, it was a fetish festival. But
I thought it was just
because
feet.
people did take their kids there, and I was like, there's like a whole imagine a bunch of guys that you never want to see naked in your entire life just laying on the curb, like just a row of them all just jerking it, and also like people dressed up as like Mickey Mouse and like the kink stuff, and it was just like stages of like women, like hardcore S&M, and there was children there. I was like, I'm like 19 years old, I shouldn't even be here,
I mean, like, I think the problem is, like, those people think that fucking human decency is somehow like offensive to them, right? I'm like, I don't care if you want to do that shit, just don't do it in your fucking children. What the fuck is wrong with you people?
I'm going to give you an idea of why it happens, okay? Because it's something nobody likes to think about, but it's a reality of the situation. So when you tell someone that they are not allowed to do a very basic thing, say hold hands in public, or show affection in public, or kiss in public, the moment that you're going to get some of them who are just going to obey. They're not going to do anything. You're going to get some that are going to lie about what they want to do, and they'll just do whatever you want. And you're going to get those who don't care, but they're not going to be in your face about it. They're just going to be nonchalant. And then you're going to get the ones who are going to go, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want. That is what happened in the sexual revolution. You told people, well, we don't want you showing any ankles. And like, you know what? Now I'm going to show an ankle. I'm going to strip butt naked and fuck in the middle of Woodstock. What you going to do? That's what happens when you do that. So when you add to that...
And you can make an argument to a very limited extent that when the overall culture is still incredibly repressive, that okay, it makes sense that some people will decide to be very boisterous about how they reject that oppression, and they're just going to show off and so on and so forth. The story of Lady Godiva comes to mind, but it's like that kind of shit only makes sense when everything is being like repressed and shit. So, you want to talk about, people did that back in the 60s or something. It's like, okay, kind of made a little bit of sense for them to do it in the 60s. I don't know if you've noticed, but that was a long goddamn time ago. No one's telling people that they can't hold hands in public anymore. No one's telling people they can't kiss. And, the idea that... it makes perfect sense that they're fucking doing it now, that they're just being like, nope, I'm going to dress in fetish gear and I'm going to, jerk off in front of kids or whatever, and you just have to accept it, bigot. It's like, no, not acceptable. Not fucking acceptable. And by the way, I'm not at all calling for violence. I'm warning against, I'm warning people that the violence is coming. Like, this is not... I'm threatening you. This is, I'm letting you know, because of where things have gone, I suspect that in the very near future, you're going to see increasing amounts of violence. You're going to see, because of a whole bunch of bad things that have gone on for decades and longer, you're going to see, as I've already mentioned before, the breakup of the United States, which I expect to begin sometime in the next 4 to 5 years. I don't know when it'll finish. Could take decades, but... eventually, the United States will be no more. I think you're going to see a shit ton of political upheaval in the coming decades. And unfortunately, and I do say, the fortunate thing, from my perspective, is that there will probably be a considerable return to traditional values. That will be good for the overall stability of civilization. However, I rather suspect that one of the side effects of that is that a number of people, like the gays, are going to find themselves very much not enjoying the kind of freedoms that they have enjoyed recently. That is not something I look forward to. I don't look forward to stories of how gay people are being killed in the streets or whatever, but I think it's probably going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen to an enormous extent, but frankly, doing the kind of shit that they've been doing for a while now and acting like the future belongs to the perverts, essentially. It's like we can do whatever we want. No, we don't have to have any kind of decency at all anymore. because the future will simply be completely indecent. It's like, no, it won't. The future is going to be much more decent than the present. It's only a matter of time. And the more that you act indecent right now, the less sympathy you're going to get from people later on. So I am concerned about where that's going to go, and I am really sorry for all of the innocent people who didn't fucking do any of this activist crap, who wind up suffering for it. But it's probably going to happen. So be aware. Be aware. And protect yourself.
That you're actually saying that these people are dangerous, they're deviant, they're perverts, they need to be stopped, they need to be killed. We're going to, give you electroshock therapy, we're going to drug you, we're going to say that if you have a job and we find out that you're gay, we're going to strip that away from you, we're going to ruin your entire life. You are going to get some people who are going to be the highest level up.
Oh, so naturally it's okay, I guess, that now that's been flipped on its head, and it's the traditionalists, the Trump supporters, people like that, who, if we find out who you are, you're going to lose your job. Because that's what's happening now, dipshit. So I guess you're going to say that, turnabout's fair play. It's like, well, violence begets violence. You're saying that, the straights were mean to the gays, and so now the gays are being mean to the straights, and it's like, well, if nobody ever breaks that cycle, then it's just going to keep going, isn't it?
No fucks given once they decide to do that. That's where that comes from.
Well, exactly where that comes from. We need shaming. We need to bring back shaming, because all of this happened because we had more Marxism come into society, the normalization of the...
I hate to disagree, because he is kind of making a good point. But I have to kind of disagree. Pardon me. What is that guy's name? Can't remember. His channel is called The Fourth Age, I think. It's worth a sub if you're interested in philosophical, discussions on shit. I believe he pointed this out sometime, like last year, maybe. He had a video where he talked about... I think it could have been even further back than that, but I think he talked about how presently we have a shame culture, and that's due to the erosion of Christianity and whatnot, and that previously in Christian-dominated Western culture, what we had was a guilt culture. And you don't want a shame culture, you want a guilt culture. You want people to understand that there are right things and wrong things, and people to feel guilty when they do the wrong thing, so that they are self-correcting, essentially. A shame culture is what we have now, where people don't really have a sufficiently well-defined idea of what's right and wrong, and they only understand that they're in the wrong when they get a sufficient number of people shaming them for it. So, that's not good. I mean, it's just not. It's much better if we live in a Christian-dominated culture where everybody kind of understands what's right and wrong, and they feel guilty if they do the wrong thing. And hopefully they just correct it themselves instead of having to be forced to by others.
These deviant, degenerate behaviors, all of it's acceptable now, and it's proliferated like a cancer. You've got people doing insane things that wouldn't have done 40 years ago. So
right, because 40 years ago it was more conservative. So the way that this works, the way it works is that you go to one extreme and then it rebounds to the other extreme. So that's what we're dealing with right now. We're going to the other extreme. So when you go back to the other extreme.
No, we've already been to the left extreme. Things are already moving back towards the right. I don't know if you can't sense that, dude, or not, but that's what's happening. Unfortunately, the more you get these people trying desperately to drag things as far to the left as they fucking can, it's going to go even further to the right. It's not going to be pretty.
You're going to be throwing gay people off the roofs like they do in the Middle East, in which nobody will give a fuck.
They fell off those roofs. We just helped them out there. For jerking off in public, okay, that's one thing. Fucking jerking off.
It is not there yet, but don't be surprised if it gets there. And again, as I said, I don't want anybody to be murdered, and I especially don't want any innocent gay people who've never harmed anyone to be harmed. But it will not surprise me at all if they are, because of the shithead far-left activists who pushed really sick shit and made enough normies fucking pissed off at the very idea of the gays that they go and do that at some point.
in public, had kids.
Well, okay, see, the thing is, they argue that, like, if you deny them that, you're not accepting their fucking sexuality. I'm like, bro, it's like,
adult being whatever the fuck you're
I'm a
doing.
public sexual. Look, I can't do that in private. I need people watching. This is, oh my god.
It's
I'm
what
with you on that. Voyeurism fetish.
It's what happens when you go to one extreme. Eventually, people will go to the opposite extreme. It's just the nature of how humans work.
we're so far fucking removed from that other extreme at this point, right?
Doesn't
Because people doing it today, like, they were born in, like, the fucking 90s and shit, right? It was well past the fucking days of, like, being gay people in the street.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's two reasons why that doesn't work.
Well,
So
but I'm
I-
saying
I-
people today are looking at that and they're like, this is just fucking insane. Like, don't do
No,
this to fucking children.
I understand what you're saying. What I'm trying to do is explain why this is happening. So let's look at something like with race, because you're seeing this with BLM. The people who are going Black Lives Matter, none of them have been victims of racism. Not real racism. None of them
like
have
a true borderline white supremacist.
Look, wait, what? One of them
parents-
ordered a coffee and they got a venti white chocolate mocha. I mean, come on, that is pure racism. What are you talking about?
The thing is that you do have people who did go through that, and those people are still alive, and so they tell their children and their grandchildren this stuff. Those stories are still there, and so you now have a generation of people who have been told this stuff about how this is a thing, how oppression is a thing. So even if they've never experienced it, they will think that this is the case. But the reason why that's in the school is because the people who put it there.
And how much is that really the fault of, like, the parents or grandparents telling their kids, "Oh yeah, we were oppressed"? It's like, is it really their fault? 'Cause I feel more like it's leftist white bitches who are propagandizing the black youth or whatever and the white youth into believing that white people are evil and racist and blah 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 blah. I mean, you notice that mostly it's white people that are part of BLM, as far as the activist shitbags that go around and fuck people over. It's like, there's a lot of white people involved in that movement. Anyway, so yeah, it's like I don't know that I'd be blaming the black parents and grandparents for passing down stories of past oppression.
We're the ones who had it done to them. It didn't come out of
It's the
nowhere.
Marxist. You keep missing the Marxist element of this. Marxist
The
ideology
Marxist element was being brought in by those people. It didn't just. Its ideology doesn't just exist by itself. It has to be brought in.
It came from Russia.
So who are the people who brought it into that?
The Soviet Union.
The Soviet Union was not in the American school system. It wasn't all the Soviet Union. So they got people who were here to do that. So
the KGB, there was a guy. What was it? The 80s or the 90s? One or the other. There was some guy from the KGB. He explained all this. He explained how all of this Marxist crap that's in your school system that's destroying your country. We did that to you. Like that was a plan that we had. Like the USSR didn't last long enough to see the fruition of its plan, but now they've they have essentially after dying out themselves, the USSR has achieved victory.
Who did they get to do it?
They sent professors. They infiltrated Hollywood. They started seeding all of these ideals.
Okay,
It's called critical theory.
you're missing my point.
They
You're missing
applied
my
race and identity, and they use that to brainwash
You're
white
still
people
missing the
and
point.
black people about racism.
You're still missing the point.
You have some
That
people
theory,
that were
listen to me. The theory works on people. You have to convince them to follow the theory. You can't just present a kooky theory and then everybody goes along with it. So the question is, who did they apply it to? They found people who were actual victims, who were misfits, who were outcasts, who felt aggrieved, and they told them something that fit what those people wanted to hear. And those people then got into schools and taught this stuff. That's how that happens. But if you didn't have those people there and you came to the U.S. with this bullshit, no one would have followed it. So they targeted people who would listen to them, who were open to that idea, the people that no one else cared about. That's why.
There's always going to be somebody who feels like they've been hard done by. And sometimes it'll be real and sometimes it won't. But you're always going to have people who are getting the short end of the stick someplace. So what are you trying to say? It's like, oh, it's because of, it's like you're trying to blame somebody, you're trying to blame, the sins of the past have caused the problems of the present or whatever, blah, blah. It's like, that may be true, but, dude, there's no way around it. There's no fucking way around it. There's always somebody who's going to lose out in some way or other, or at the very least feel that they have. So you... A fucking moron.
That worked. So when you do that,
You're describing brainwashing. Yes, you go after the vulnerable. You get them to spread the ideology.
That's all an ideology is.
Even if they had not gone through anything, they could still be brainwashed. And you see that happen now with all these young people who have never been through racism, never experienced oppression, but they believe it because
they believe it. They believe it. Not because the schools taught them the propaganda. That's part of it. But it's also because these are people who want something greater than themselves and they don't have it.
These are people who have such easy lives and no real problems that they need some goal to. They need a dragon to slay. Yeah.
That's what this is, and so that's why that works on them. It doesn't work on someone who.
Yes. Well, I hate to say it, but perhaps what they really need is no free time on their hands. Perhaps what they really need is that's why you have this disparity generally between the right wing and the left wing. The left wing is full of a bunch of assholes who have all the free time in the world to go out and protest and be a nuisance about every little pissy thing. And the right, meanwhile, they're busy. They have lives to live. They have jobs. They have families. They're doing something constructive. I hate to say it, especially since for a large portion of my life I was a leftist who was enjoying that, not having anything super constructive to do with my time. I hate to say it, but maybe it needs to basically be like, if not illegal, then certainly society needs to massively discourage anybody just having like mountains of free time. As the saying goes, idle hands do the devil's work. So, I again, hate to suggest that shame culture thing, but maybe that's what we need. Maybe we do need some of that. Maybe we need to shame not only the people who aren't doing anything constructive, but shame their parents and anybody else who's helping to enable them to not need to, to just fuck around and not do anything with themselves. Not do anything constructive, and they've got time to be an activist. Like, activism should be specifically probably shunned by society. Oh, you're an activist? Well, you're worse than, the scum that I've just scraped off the bottom of my shoe. You're a piece of fucking shit, by definition, if you're going out there and protesting whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. You're protesting, climate change, fuck you. You're protesting, supposed oppression, of somebody by some whatever, fuck you. Maybe that's what we need. I don't know. Oh, my God.
Who feels perfectly fine. You see this with different groups.
It absolutely can. You can
for the most part, it doesn't. So here's a good example. And Eric Hoffer talks about this in his book, The True Believer. Okay, this theory did not work on Jews. Why? Because they already have a foundation to build on. They have their religion, they have their faith, and they have their ethnic history to build on. So when you come to them...
One reason it didn't work on Jews is because the Jews are part of the group that's pushing the propaganda. It's like a lot of the supposed right-wing Jews in America are actually... basically, they're Trotskyites. It's like they're like they're the fucking propagandists pushing for the. Anyway, I don't know.
With this, for the most part, it fails because there's something already in place. There is no identity crisis.
Well, a lot of people
someone with an identity crisis, it works.
A lot of people pushing Marxism. A lot of them are Jewish. First of all,
some of them are.
Yep.
Oy vey, we might have to stop this topic soon. Whoa.
A lot of them.
Hear about the Jews.
Oh, hold on, I gotta fix Pro.
Everybody talks about.
The Palestinian has been removed from the building.
Okay, tell me more about these evil Jews.
Everybody talks about how
Susan, no, I'll get rid of him. Please.
What are you talking about? They love the Palestinians. We're like the ultimate fucking minority to them.
He's just like providing building materials to them.
I love people in the chat are going like, you don't get it. No, what I suggest you guys do is read the book The True Believer by Eric Hoffer so that you understand how mass movements actually work. Because I know you guys have got yourselves convinced that it's just Marxist and it's just KGB. I understand that's what you think.
I
That's
literally
not what's
studied
going on.
this. Psychology, brainwashing. I've studied this for years. I've read scientific papers. I've done a lot of reading. I don't necessarily disagree with some of your points, but I think you're kind of off on some of the things, some of the explanations.
I think you're looking for the easiest explanation to justify the opinion you already have rather than looking at the facts of what's actually going on.
I know what's going on. My point is the psychological processes behind this. I've actually studied on an academic level, so I kind of disagree on some of your conclusions.
So, I have no idea of the level of education or real-world experience or anything of just some guy, and I don't fucking care. But it's becoming all too clear that he's one of these dipshits who thinks that he's smarter than you. He knows more than you do. He knows better than you do. So if you disagree with him, it's not because you happen to know something he doesn't or you know better than he does. It's because you're just a dumbass. It's a very leftist sort of position to take. Reminds me of Anna, I'm fucking better than you, Kasparian, from the Young Turds.
So you think that you can just go, we'll just take the gay community, for example. You think you can take a run-of-the-mill gay person and just feed them the same stuff and they would all go along with it, no problem?
Give me enough time and I can brainwash anybody.
That's what I asked you.
Ooh, brainwash.
I asked you.
Hit me.
What I asked you was,
it's not difficult. You just need time.
So what is it that you have to do to get them to go
He's
along
not
with it? Is the
wrong.
question. How do you break them?
Well, there's different methods. In China, war prisoners were told to write things that they didn't agree with, like communism is good. And the way they would do this was get them to admit something that they thought was true or might be true. For example, like they would say, write down that America is not perfect. So they would write it down and then they would read it on the intercom. This American said America is not perfect. Okay, you've already opened a door. The next step of this process would be like, there are some good things about communism. You got them to write that.
Real quick, you said this was a. I just want to clarify the group of people that you're talking about. So you're talking about someone in China, or are you talking about an American who's been taken prisoner?
Yeah, American war prisoners. It's happened in real life.
I know, because I know what you're talking about. So here's my question: did that person just randomly get plucked off the street, and then literally within a couple of hours they said, say something bad about America?
No, but what you need to understand is you can do the same thing in education from a very young age. You can take a child and start to do the similar things, and that's how we get all these people brainwashed. They don't ever have to see it or experience it. Where you can attack. There are attack vectors on all sorts of people.
I think
it all the time.
I mean, like, I get what you're saying. I don't know if you call it brainwashing. It's more like a situation where you have people they want to be accepted. They want to be accepted by the in group. group, right? It's in group to be fucking, this fucking socialist fucking bullshit. They don't even understand what it is. They literally think the meaning of capitalism is just fucking exploitation. They can't define it at all. They just know that they should fucking hate it because that's what everybody else is doing, right? People want to belong to a part of the group, right? So as soon as you make something popular, or at least popular on those fucking campuses, these students who have no fucking concept of how the world works are just going to fall in line because they want to be accepted and loved by everybody else. I wouldn't necessarily call that the same thing as like what happens in fucking China, right? Like that's a little bit fucking different.
It's similar. The process of how you do this are similar.
You're allowed to leave the fucking school, is what I'm saying.
Indoctrination is indoctrination. You don't have to be a war prisoner to be indoctrinated.
No, we know that. This is why religion exists. Religion works in the exact same way. The point is that you can't just randomly convert someone to a different faith. You actually have to go through a process. Right. So my point is that when you're looking at groups who do the things that you don't like, this stuff doesn't just come out of nowhere. These things are being tailored to them, to their experiences. And if you do this for a long enough period of time, the reason for doing it gets lost, and the act of doing it is what remains. That's what we're seeing right now. The people who actually put this stuff into place, they were people who suffered actual things, and they were being exploited by a group of people who just wanted to use them to get a movement started. That was what was happening. Once that gets started,
that's again not really true. I mean, I'm sure that yes, some people were genuinely exploited who tried to start the ball rolling on all this horse shit that we now have to live through, but I don't know. I mean, just consider that if you go back to like the 50s or whatever, black people were legitimately still, put upon in various ways, but did you see a shit ton of them trying desperately to complain about how bad they had it and so on and so forth? Not really. What you actually saw was that they were succeeding in spite of their situation, or maybe because of it, because as I believe I've mentioned before, as much as humans don't like to face adversity, we tend to do our best when we have to. When you go back to before the civil rights era, blacks in America had lower rates of illegitimacy than whites in America. They were entering the middle class at a higher rate, percentage-wise, than whites. It's like the black family was doing well before the civil rights era, and then you got that shit, and you got LBJ, deciding, yes, indeed, he's going to have them voting Democrat for 100 years, 200 years, or whatever it was he said. And, yep. The government came to help them and fucked them over like you would never have believed possible before it happened. And black America was just destroyed by it. So, anyway.
That can go completely out of your control, where it is now just happening because that's kind of how it works. It just sort of does it on its own. And so you've now got to a point where you have people teaching folks, oh, you're being oppressed because of your skin color, when that is not happening. You're having people being told, well, people want to kill you because you're gay. Yeah, not in this country. So those are things that are happening, but that happens because the people who initially believed the idea had something that could be exploited to make that work. You can't just go up to someone and then imagine that that's going to happen. And it does take time, but it also doesn't work on everyone. This is one of the reasons why you see people fighting back against it. If the idea of what you're saying was so...
He's both right and wrong. I mean, I suspect that there are some people who cannot be convinced of certain things, but unfortunately I suspect for the most part he's wrong in that most people, like the vast overwhelming majority of people, can absolutely be propagandized into believing almost anything. It's just a matter of time if there's not sufficient pushback at some point or whatever, which hopefully there will be, but it's like, yeah, it's it is possible essentially to brainwash just about anybody. Maybe not absolutely everybody, but just about everybody can be brainwashed if you work on them long enough in the right way. And not all tactics are going to work. It's just like marketing. It's like people saying that marketing doesn't work, and it's like it absolutely works. It may not work on everybody, and it may not work all the time, and a bad marketing campaign may not work very well, whereas a good one will work very well. But it works. The idea that marketing just in its entirety just simply doesn't work, that's completely and utterly asinine. Of course it does.
Perfect. Then it would work on everybody. It doesn't. So obviously there's something happening here that doesn't make it work.
My only point is that the originals are propagandists who know what they're doing. I think it's very important to remember that because we have propagandists. So a propagandist doesn't need to believe what he's teaching, what he's indoctrinating. They can know it's all bullshit, but the propagandist is even more effective at it because they know it's not real. So
very
I want to
true.
make clear that the propagandists came, they took these vulnerable people, and what you're saying is correct, but we got to remember there are heads of the snake.
I have a clip for this. Here we go. Just 1 second.
Why do you think you done it? Okay, number one, Your Honor. Just look at him.
He talks like a fine too.
See, there we go. I got it. I also have a super chat on point for this. Nova Zero says, don't hack Afghani or Iran. They have all the gay porn that men dump on their hard drives to avoid active duty. So that seems like it's on topic. I don't know.
I thought they were all the ones who were gay.
I don't know.
Just pretending that they're not, because it's completely insensitive.
We know that super chats are true, 100%, and so it was said. So that's reality. I don't know what else to tell you.
It was on the internet, so it must be true.
Well, it was on a super chat, which meant I made money on the internet, so it definitely is true. So just so everybody knows, that's how super chats work. If you say it in a super chat, it's true. Richard, so I think that that topic has been thoroughly discussed. The chat is screaming at me, by the way.
Yes.
They're like, let's move on. Let's talk about Fuda and Gundam and Flash crying.
Okay, so I'm going to assume that
Jesus, please.
Okay, yes. I'm going to assume that that's the end of that. So we'll go ahead and go over what he says here about it. The LDR, internet said these things, so it can't be trusted. I guess being on the internet does not apply to YouTubers such as Just Some Guy. The photos were 100 pixels by 100 pixels blown up to 400 by 400 pixels, so photos are bad and can't prove things. The guys were in different states and can't move because court orders, because we know that the left love honoring court orders. Since they would have had to travel to San Francisco to do their Skype call style choir song, it's just not possible these are the same guys. The choir called the FBI, and since we know that the FBI are super Trump supporter conservative types, there's no way the FBI would intervene if these guys were secret pedos or anything. Yeah, the FBI is full of shitbags, so I wouldn't trust them with anything. The video was a private thing they shared in a group chat, and if it wasn't for that dastardly evil Alex Jones, the rest of the world would not have seen this totally private, not meant for public joke song. The We're Coming for Your Children song was totally just a joke, and taking it in any other way makes you a loony Christian who is responsible for super mega oppressing all the gays ever. But Muslims, though. This was a defense line. Basically, the entire gay community are good boys who didn't do nothing. Later in the stream, Just Some Guy goes on to reel after another super chatter broaches the topic again, calling Just Some Guy a homo apologist. Okay, let's. Is this queued up? Yes.
I could definitely watch that show and not cry. You can't even at me on this. Jason Schreiner says the NAMBLA episode of South Park was 20 years ago. Not a song, but the same topic plus the same outrage. By the way, this is for Drex Maitland Ward. Stabby McStabswood says this is not the first time that song was performed. And imagine criminals making poor life choices. Just Some Guy sounds like a chomo apologist. Real sus. Damn.
Everyone always says that when someone says maybe you should stop before you try to kill people. It usually happens, but maybe you should stop before you start labeling.
Well, except you seem to be taking exception to people just saying stuff about it. Don't think you're specifically reacting to people being like, oh, we're gonna go kill those guys, and it's like nope.
Bullying everyone a chomo. Maybe you should find out whether or not they really are, just in case you're wrong and then you ruin their lives. Just thought.
Yeah, no, I agree that the fucking way we've seen false accusations thrown around.
Well, which is it? Are we supposedly killing them, or are we ruining their lives? Which is it?
Around lately, there's a distinct difference between saying, hey, the song's a little fucking weird, and the people singing it are fucking weird, and saying, oh, by the way, they're all child molesters. No, I'm with you. I'm not for the.
Nobody fucking said they were all child molesters. Who said that? Seriously, who the fuck said that? Everybody and their damn dog was talking about this thing when it came out a month ago or 2 months, whenever the fuck it was. Everybody was fucking talking about it. I don't remember a single person saying, oh yeah, they're all kitty fuckers. Nope. Nobody said that. I think they said that like 2 guys in it they believed were convicted child molesters. And they said that all of them were creepy. Which I would agree. You fucking singing a song like that, I'd agree it's fucking creepy. But nobody said that they were all child molesters. Nobody fucking said that.
Baseless accusations on stuff.
Did you notice that,
well, real quick, if they are child molesters, drag them up to the tallest building and throw them off. I don't fucking care. I'm done with child molesters, and I'm done with child molester apology. Like, as a general principle, our society needs to end these people, in my mind. But
It just needs more James Fairbanks.
yeah, exactly. Let him do it all. Put him out of prison and make a fucking Marvel show about Captain James.
What's that?
Oh, he's a true American hero.
Let me pull up a quick picture of James Fairbanks to show you the
Oh, is
eyes
that
of
the
a
guy
man.
that shot the other guy on camera?
It wasn't. No, that's Gary Plouch. Okay.
James Fairbanks has even less chill. I promise.
Hold on, I clicked on the wrong thing. Here we go. Open image. This is fucking James Fairbanks. This man, he's on the left, as you will assume.
Hey, look at that face. No
dude-
chill.
It's literally like an evil mustache.
The dude on the right is a convicted child molester,
Multiple.
and so James Fairbanks is like looking for apartments to move into, and he sees this chomo here talking to a group of kids, and he's like gets uncomfortable. So he looks the guy up, finds out he's a child molester, and he's like, what the fuck? So he does research and then goes to try and rent the guy's apartment, and then just straight up shoots him when he comes in. He's like, I'm protecting the fucking kids of this neighborhood. This guy's a pervert. Now the crazy thing is, the guy who got shot, the guy on the right, all of his kids came out and said, yeah, it's a good thing that this guy's dead because he's a fucking danger to kids. Like it's crazy. James Fairbanks will now.
Wow.
Wait,
So he was released?
Was it proven in court or?
Oh yeah. The guy on the right was a convicted.
Oh, without a doubt. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, what I'm asking though is he was released. So
Yeah,
how many
he
times
has
was he
multiple
convicted?
convictions. He has multiple convictions over a long, like decades
Over
long.
the same thing?
Yeah, he was always kid.
Yeah,
That's the thing
yeah.
I never understood about that. Is like, once you've done this once, I can understand him go, okay, this is his first offense. We're going to give him the sentence and then monitor him. But like, how many times are you going to let him do this before you like don't let him out anymore?
Yeah,
That's why
exactly.
James Fairbanks.
That's why James is around. He says,
Yeah.
I'm not putting up with that shit. He shoots him, and then he fucking writes a letter to the media
Oh,
telling
God
them,
tier.
I
Wow.
shot this motherfucker because he's a danger to kids, and I'm not sorry. It's like, holy shit.
Wow.
This dude's deer, his deer.
Based.
Nick and I went over it. I'm like, bruh, this dude has no chill. Like, you look at that face.
I will say this though, because I've heard multiple stories where like, oh, this guy who's going around killing people on like these sex offender list. What my issue with that one is, a lot of those guys, they could be falsely accused, or like their ex-wife said
Oh, yeah.
you know, they did bad things to their kids so they could get custody and money and get them in jail and stuff. So you can also end up on the sex offender list for peeing in public, like peeing in a bush. So
That
as
is
far as, like,
true,
the mob justice goes,
unfortunately.
I don't think that's a good idea.
No, in general, I agree. This dude, like James Fairbanks, that was one of the things that got him, was how much he researched this guy.
Yeah.
Like
He made sure.
Because okay, so the implication that the news stories have on him is that James Fairbanks was either molested as a kid, or he worked with molested kids as a counselor.
Oh,
or
I know
both.
this guy. Yeah, so he saw this dude. The story that I heard was that he saw him outside, like washing his car,
Yeah.
and there were kids across the street, and so he saw that and then just went and killed this dude.
No, yeah, he did some research though. Like this Condalucci guy, who's the pedo, he ends up putting up a new playground, a new kid's playground in his backyard for no fence.
Yeah, this guy who
Okay,
has all his kids are fucking adults and
Yeah.
out, and all of his.
How
and
the fuck was he out?
Well, he served 5 years total in his life for his crimes.
And
He was on
multiple
probation.
convictions.
Yeah, it's like, he always got convicted, right? So they're all convictions, but in terms of actual time served total for multiple
felony offenses.
Yeah, he got 5 years
Yeah.
total.
You get a longer sentence for fucking
Drugs,
tax evasion.
yeah, anything, literally anything.
Did he plead down to a lower charge?
I don't know.
Yeah, when you see a man's face like James Fairbanks, he doesn't plead.
No, he's talking about Condalucci.
Oh,
Yeah, no, Fairbanks has got 40 to 70 years. So
yeah.
it's-
He should serve like literally none. That's
yeah.
not even living. Is that this guy he's considered the bad guy? Like, and, the DA, remove the DA first of all.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
the,
why I think we need to bring back a death sentence. Like,
the,
it has to be cheap in like a guillotine is cheap.
Well, that's the thing with like guys like Condalucci. It's like, look, he got convicted 2 times. Both of his kids have talked about how he abused and molested them. He didn't get convicted for those. He got convicted for other shit, for other kids. And like I said, the girl, his daughter, said James Fairbanks should not be in jail because basically he ended a threat to children everywhere when he killed my father. She's like, it's sad that my father's dead, but he was a monster. Like it's not like he killed some rando guy who was just accused, which I agree with you. Like vigilante justice is not ideal most of the time, but like this guy, this guy James Fairbanks
of the justice system to
Yeah.
deal with this guy.
And I think,
Considering that we now have an injustice system, though, when the breakup of the United States begins to occur, don't be surprised if there's a shit ton of vigilante justice happening. If law and order breaks down in your area, you need to be prepared to protect yourself because you don't know who's going to decide to do what. And yeah, it could be some right-winger who decides, oh, this multiple, time offender, kitty molester down the street, I'm going to blow him away. But it could also be, the leftist shitbags decide, oh, this evil business owner who's exploiting his employees because he's a capitalist, he needs to die, and we'll steal all this shit after we kill him. So, keep in mind, be prepared to defend yourself.
Fairbanks, he knew, this is why he's the best vigilante justice guy I can think of. He knew exactly what he was doing and was fully willing. He didn't ask the court for shit. He didn't try to plead down. He pled no contest, and he had fully admitted to killing the guy, and he said, I'm willing to go to jail for this. Like, that's, personally, I think the jury should have nullified it, but he was willing to take the punishment no matter what it was. So,
And honestly, he's probably going to be fine in prison because the prisoners will probably leave him alone or even protect him.
oh yeah, they're not going to care that he killed some child molester. They would kill Condalucci if he was in prison.
Yeah.
So how long was his sentence? Is it for life?
It's
40
40 to 70 years, but
Fucking
wow.
correct. Life, effectively.
Yeah, basically.
well, it depends because I was looking at one of these articles while you guys were talking. They're saying that if he does good time, he might be able to get out in 20.
He already did good time. He did it up. So anytime that you do any kind of harm to pedophiles, you already did good time. You did good deeds in life.
Here's the thing about this is that
There's some laws.
what you don't want to do is incite people to do what he's doing because when you see people do this, they don't always stop with that person. So
Oh,
there's
yeah.
no reason to assume that if there had been someone else in that home, that he wouldn't kill that person too. You don't want to give people the incentive of, oh, I think this person did something. I looked something up on the internet. I'm going to go and kill them, and I'll get away with it because I killed a bad person. There are lots and lots of bad people out there. This is not the only bad person that's probably in that neighborhood,
Yeah,
and he's
there's
not going to check them to kill them. So I mean, you do need to punish him, but and he pled guilty. So I mean,
I think they should. What, Anna? Sorry.
There was this app that I used to use when I moved to San Francisco, and it's called Predator, and it shows you all of the sex offenders in your area, and it shows what their crime was, like how young the girl or boy was that they molested and stuff like that. And of course, they all live in downtown San Francisco, right where the college dorms were. But I forgot where I was going with it. But it had to do with something you just said.
Peeing in a bush?
No, it was something Nick said. right before.
Vigilante justice.
I lost it. Never mind.
Fuck. Well, what I was gonna say is, you know, Fairbank people.
the
Oh, go ahead.
guy that got him doing it to another person that was there. It's like, well, imagine like, you know, he's like, oh yeah, he gets that sense of justice from killing a pedophile, which I mean, I kind of agree. If you're a pedophile, in my opinion, don't deserve to live. But what if you get that after you see all the people that were convicted of being a pedophile, you know? And then you still go start murdering all of them, which probably you're doing good for the world, but you're still a murderer, you know? It's like Dexter.
I think they should have punished him by giving him a government job. That's what I think. Punish this asshole by giving him a government job of tracking down bad pedos.
I say you should have gotten 1 year.
Except the government doesn't do that, Nick. You know, they'll track down, you know, people who, you know, just ordinary people who you know, fuck up. You know, yeah, they might do that, but like really, really monstrous people, it's like nope. They're gonna give them a slap on the wrist, and if those people have any kind of power, they're gonna get off scot-free, because the government basically is just a bunch of fucking criminals. Government's the ultimate organized crime, especially in a legitimate government, which is what we now enjoy. So there you have, essentially, it's like just some guy again trying to be like, oh man, I don't even know what to say. What is this guy's deal?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, well, Gary Plausch's case is a little different because he killed the guy who raped his kid, right?
Yeah.
But he got community service. I mean, he point blank fucking put the guy in the ground, like gun to the head, boom, done. And he got community service for it.
Well, they did talk to his son about that, and his son really dislikes that he did that. So
yeah,
this is another thing about that.
I don't care if my kid
Is it
dislikes it.
straight?
If my kid got raped by someone, that person would never be.
Well, that was
found
a question I
again.
actually had about that case. Like, what exactly were the circumstances there? Is the kid
In
like
the-
straight? Is he
the-
not straight?
The Gary Klaus case, he just walked up to him and shot him after the trial. Like, he waited till he came out after they convicted him and he just killed him.
Well, I meant surrounding the kid. Why would the kid dislike the fact that he shot him?
Because
kinda
not
weird.
every person who is a victim hates the person that did something to them.
So that's why I was wondering, like, how did that? I don't know the full story, but I wonder how exactly that went down. Like,
He literally waited until the trial was over, and then once the guy was convicted, he came up there and just shot him. That's literally what happened. It wasn't any more complicated than that. He just waited until the trial was over and he killed him.
Well, what Mr. Obvious is asking is about the kid. Was the kid like romantically involved with the guy? Was there? He can't
Yeah,
give
why
consent
would
because
he
he's not
be upset?
18, but maybe
Yeah.
he consented. You know,
why
like,
would he be upset? Is my question.
Well, he would.
Well, there's like Stockholm syndrome, right? Maybe he felt some kind of connection to the guy, or maybe because he got raped by the guy, he felt special because it's that kind of they picked me over everyone else kind of thing. You see it a lot when you know around people that are in abusive relationships and the excuses that they make, and it also goes along with that that really big fantasy that like a lot of women have, that it's like they want because one of the biggest things when you come talk to women and like their fantasies, a lot of women like fantasize about being raped or having sex with the devil. It's this weird twisted mindset. If you're into psychology, you can look into this kind of stuff.
Yeah, Drex actually knows of one. Her name is Veronica Avlov. Sorry, go on, Star Wars girl.
Well, no, I went down this rabbit hole of YouTube videos one night, and I was like, what the fuck? And that's how I learned about all this. But I started off because I was looking into stuff about like kids that they get attached to their rapists or their abusers, and it goes into that whole thing like, oh well, they picked me, they're doing this to me. It's like making me feel special because they're not doing it to anyone else. And
Well,
so it
I
could
also-
be that,
But there's also an element of just sometimes these are people who they know. And so you imagine if this is someone's friend, I don't remember what the relationship was between them, how he knew this kid. But if this is someone's friend, their parent, their sibling or something like that, you can't just assume that because this person does a horrible thing to them, that they automatically just hate them instantly. That's not how humans work.
Yeah, that's a good
so
point.
he may not actually have the intensity of animosity that everybody else has. He may want him to be punished, but he may not have wanted him to be dead. So
Right, and
that's
that's
something that
why-
people never factor in, is that the reaction that you have is not necessarily the same reaction that the victim is going to have.
And that's why you don't listen to the kid. Like if you're the parent, to me, what Gary Plausch did, again, if someone ever harmed my kid in the same way, first of all, there wouldn't be a video of it unless I made it. They would never be found again. If I knew who did it, they'd be fucking gone.
Law-abiding citizen.
Yeah.
That movie was amazing, but the ending was ruined, and it was ruined because the black actor was like, I don't like that ending where Clyde wins. Clyde should have won. I wanted to see
Yes.
these government politicians in Minecraft.
What was the movie
it's
about?
also like the movie
Law-abiding
Attorney
citizen.
too.
It's about a guy whose family gets like the breaking and entering, and one of the
It's
robbers
what-
takes his
Gerard
daughter,
Butler.
Yeah,
Gerard
okay.
Butler, right?
and then basically the guy gets away with it on like a slap on the wrist because his lawyer just wants to have his perfect record of winning every case. And so he's pissed, and this guy's a genius. So he goes on a crusade to fucking destroy everything, to take down all the corruption. Great movie, watch it. Ending was ruined by the fucking black actor guy.
Well, the dudes like get death sentences. Some of the dudes get death sentences, but Gerard Butler makes them way fucking worse. Like
Yeah.
he swaps out the drugs so they really suffer during the lethal injection and shit like that. It's a good flick. I really liked it. But yeah, Jamie Foxx fucked it up.
Yeah, he did.
Was this recent?
Yeah, it's an older movie.
Probably 8 years ago.
Okay, I don't remember this.
At least 8, I think, probably longer than that.
It's a good flick though. It's an enjoyable movie in general. It's a good, it's like it's not too deep. It's I don't want to call it a summer movie, but it's probably a fall movie. You know?
I wanted Clyde to win so damn. But they always do this. Death Note, same thing. The anti-hero needs to win, damn it.
Yes.
I love anti-heroes. I fucking love anti-heroes.
If you're gonna have an anti-hero, let him fucking win. Otherwise, just make him a hero.
Same thing.
fucking hard.
Breaking Bad. I wanted him to win too.
He kind of did.
Yeah, kind of. But
And that machine gun was pretty good. Machine gun in the trunk.
I hate how all these directors and all these writers have to go like the normie route of we gotta give a good message for society. Drugs are bad, okay? Or vigilante justice, or like justice, or what Clyde was doing in Law-Abiding Citizen is bad. It's always the same tired cliche message. Come on, man. That's why the Joker was
That's why
good.
it's fantasy. That's why it's escapism. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it.
But what I don't like is that they always have to twist it into this normie, like goody two shoes message.
Yeah, well, just like if you're Drexel, you don't have to watch Riley Reid videos, but you probably do. Snuggle Struggle says just some guy. DC's Robin is now bi. Do you think that'd be a South Park episode 5 years ago, like conversion therapy in reverse to mock the woke, the MFAO?
Well, they've been making fun of the concept of Robin being gay for decades, so I mean, we're a little late to that joke.
Surprise.
Okay, so I guess that's probably over with now. The topic of James Fairbanks is brought up, and just some guy proceeds to try to explain away the details of that story, trying to suggest that James just got lucky that he accidentally killed a pedo, and that the pedo had served his meager 5-year sentence, and that was enough. He then proceeded to employ an altered version of the Milo defense when another pedo killed by vigilantism is mentioned by saying that because a rumor that the kid did not like the perpetrator being killed, maybe it wasn't a big deal in the child's mind. This guy is really hung up on this topic and gets very upset and verbose at the mere mention of it. Yes, and that is odd, isn't it? I think just some guy is projecting big time right now. I have a feeling that if one were to search through his hard drive, that it would be full of CP. I make no comment on that. Fascinating how his ego is slowly morphing him into Black Amos Yee. How far will he go with this? As a follow-up on Cyclone's great reporting, there is more fallout from just some pedogates. Dean and Vicky had another stream where the primary topic was about Doug TenNapel, not counting the passion of Doug over with Nasser. And the follow-up marathon stream, is this the third or fourth one in a month? Anyway, after pointing out that Doug lies and associates with Roe and War Campaign, they spend time on Liam's latest meltdown before, at the 30-minute mark, turning to just some pedo's defense of the San Francisco Gay Men's Choir. Video unavailable. Playback has been disabled.
And we are...
Okay, what is it? God damn it, I fucking hate that bullshit. Just before the 30-minute mark?
So, JDA had EFAP'd that Liam stream, and somebody in the chat said the Bane profit bump is in Liam's wife.
Oof.
And I thought it was hilarious, though. Like,
it is kind of funny, but
that's fucked up, though.
But it's kind of fucked up.
But hilarious. Yeah. It's obviously an abo, though. Like, let's be real.
Oh, stop that. You know, he sits there and he always just rants about how he was going to save Australian comics because he had this great deal for printing, which became printing in the last rant, but in previous rants it was about distribution, which is really kind of weird. I wonder how much his deal had to do with trying to get other people to join him, and if he got a little screwed. And if your deal is so good, why did it cost you a shit ton of money?
Yeah, that's what I'm also like.
Right?
The deal cost me so much, so it isn't saving money.
It cost me all this money to save up, and they all turned their backs on me. Well, if it
wasn't a good deal,
then it wasn't a good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, at all.
Just weird. Yeah, Liam. Ooh, and was there any more on the Liam stuff? I think that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much on the Liam stuff.
Yeah. So there was the Flashcast hosted on Ricada's channel last night.
Oof.
And I guess there's like the San Francisco Gay Choir. Is that what it is?
Yes, it was.
They did like this. Here's the thing, right? Like the best trolls are the ones that upset the most people. This ain't it though. Like, do I think that they were just trolling to be giant assholes? Probably, but still, fuck you.
The song's about coming for your children is.
Yeah, that's what it was. It's we're coming for your children. I don't think I mean, maybe there are some predators in there. I don't know, but it's obviously just to upset people. And like I said, the best trolls are the ones that upset the most people. But this also is fuck you. Well, I mean, this one just checks off that box, but it also it's also just fucking gross. Why would you?
The choir themselves contacted the FBI about this shit, so they must have had some concerns on their own, like the people in charge, because it wasn't the entire choir; it was just a group of them, apparently over some sort of private Zoom type call. But still, when it hit Twitter, it was a bit of a thing on Twitter, and it was probably about, I don't know, a month or so ago. I lose track of time in ComicsGate. Everything outside of it just sort of bleeds together. But yeah, and so last.
So Spirit Scar said there were convicted.
There were convicted child.
Okay. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, I mean that's. I guess could be helped.
Yeah,
it could be helped.
Neck yourselves. You fucking neck yourselves. Anyways.
Against the wall. So last night on the Flashcast, which was on Ricada's channel. So I think it was Tug
just some guy, someone I don't know, RGE, who likes to use Tor to search for lolly on the dark web. Anna showed up at some point, and your sister, Ashley, was there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So, I don't know if you're going to play any.
Yeah, I mean, we can. Just some guy starts defending the choir. I don't know. Like, we can listen to it if you
Well, it's a lot. I mean, we can listen to a little bit of one of them if you want.
Yeah, let's watch the first one and see where it goes. I might get sick of my sister's voice, so
So
there's always
we
that.
can
Yeah, there's always that possibility.
So, go ahead.
Oh, is it? Hold on. Sorry.
Dang, we all waiting for you.
That's
again.
True. All right.
I want to give him a fair shake, but I disagree with him. I think we should crucify all pedos.
Well, your problem is that you have a claim that's been made that hasn't been verified. So one of the things that I like to do when people get something under their craw and they start talking about it is I like to find out where they got their information from. So the proof, tens of millions of people know, will get when they're on registries for what they're doing.
All right, well, let's talk about it, Vicky. What isn't true?
You don't have to be available at 20 minutes. You are not restricted to a 20-minute radius from your home if you're on a sex offender registry in the state of California.
Yeah, like,
that's,
like you would never,
that's like the most bullshitty thing I have ever heard in my entire life.
You'd have to live off the government at that point.
Right? You're not allowed to travel. You're not allowed. Okay,
Don't
so
get me wrong. People don't want you to travel.
they don't. But
stay at home.
Right? You can't go skiing for the weekend. You can't go to the beach.
That's true. That is
true. And that's not even true. You just can't live in your fucking school, for Christ's sake. I mean, there's not a whole. There are very.
We need to toughen the rules. Obviously,
there are no convictions. You can travel outside of a 20-minute radius from your home, and to think that you can't, one, it would be unconstitutional. Right? Two, they don't have little bracelets on their ankle that says you left your 20 minutes away from your house. Beep beep beep. Get back. Get back. The choir itself travels in state, out of state. It's not, you don't have to get special permission to go to Disneyland. I mean, it's just stupid. It's just dumb.
Pedophilia is bad is the lowest bar of virtue signaling possible. But somehow Ricada's panel fails to meet this goal unanimously. Oh, jeez. All right.
So in order for this theory to work, all of these guys would all have to be colluding with each other to hide this information from their parole officers.
Like they wouldn't do that anyway.
Not only that, no one could actually verify any of it. No one of any credible news organization checked it.
Wait, he checked it. He just said he checked it. Right?
Come on, just some guy.
Keep your story straight.
Keep your gross defending of these gross people straight.
Likelihood is you're wrong.
I will say something like the pics look the same, but I mean, even then, like,
well, there's like two of them where they look very. Is a beard, but they look.
Actual registry, which is astounding that this would be on the registry. 100.
So not bad.
Barely see what the guy actually looks like, and you're comparing it with some random screenshot taken from some small square in this massive. The same people, then I'm not going to buy it. Every member of the chorus is a bunch of pedophiles.
Nobody ever said.
That's a pretty reasonable position to have. Is don't tell
Thank
me.
you.
Yeah.
Nobody said every member of the San Francisco men's gay chorus
Exactly.
is a pedophile. Nobody claimed that.
Mm-hmm.
Just that they had a goodly number of them in the group, like registered sex offenders.
I don't know
that may not even mean that they're.
I don't think they even claimed that there was a goodly number. I think there was only 2. But still, that's like, if you've got any, convicted in your fucking group and you're singing about coming for people's kids, don't you think maybe that's just not a good idea? Jesus.
Pedophiles. That could just mean that, somebody had sex with somebody who was 17 instead of 18, or...
Well, not if you're correctly defining pedophile, but yes, as the law defines, offenses with regard to minors, then yes. Like, it could be, and look, it's, that's the thing. It's like, the way the law is written, and I kind of understand it has to be written the way that it is written to, to cover things. But it's like, it's like the law kind of doesn't, one would assume maybe in the sentencing, at least sometimes, if it was really goddamn awful, it's like, oh yeah, this guy raped a toddler or something. It's like, then yeah, it's like they'd throw the fucking book at him. They should give him the death penalty, but anyway, it's like, but then it's like, oh yeah, that this guy, it's like he had consensual sex with somebody who's, in their, late teens or whatever. It's like they weren't technically an adult yet, but, it's like they knew what they were doing, and those, it's not really an issue. But they're still going to be like, nope, you have to go to prison for years. It's like, the balance of, of these concerns is concerning. It's like, on the one hand, it's like, are they punishing the monsters bad enough? Probably not. Are they punishing the people who are only technically guilty of something too much? Probably so.
Just anything.
Yeah.
What's up?
I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that somebody was diddling 2 or 3-year-olds.
Yeah. So I guess gross.
I mean, we all know that. I mean, if you don't know,
I'm pretty sure doesn't the sex offender registry, I think in my state, it tells what they're convicted of. So, I'm pretty sure that a friend of mine looked up some woman around here and discovered that she had molested like her 2-year-old son or something, and that was why she was on the registry. So, I mean, I don't know any way that she'd possibly know that if it wasn't on it. So, at least in some states, I assume it tells you what the fuck they did.
That the gay culture is filled with older men having sex with really young men.
Yeah, like
there's no help for it.
What's his name?
That is a standard thing. It's a, I don't know, what do you want to call it, a trope or whatever of gay culture. I don't know how truly pervasive it is, but it's one of those things. It's like, far from every gay man in existence goes out clubbing every night and sleeps with a different guy as often as he can, and so on and so forth. But those are the standard tropes. And one of the standard tropes is, yeah, the gay guys, they like young guys. So.
Come on.
Milo.
Kevin
Milo,
Spacey. Yeah,
like
just
Kevin
like Kevin
Spacey.
Spacey. Jesus, all right.
Everyone in the group is something if you can't prove it.
Yeah, I never made that claim. When I covered it, I said something like, there's a rumor that a couple of these guys may or may not be on this thing. They look kind of similar, but, other than that, we really don't know. But there's like two or a couple of them that look similar. But at the end of the day, and I said this in the video at the time, it doesn't really matter at all because the song itself and what they were making was really messed up.
Oh, are these the motherfuckers do the coming for your kids shit?
Yeah,
It's
irrelevant.
It's a stupid song to make, right?
I mean,
but wait,
yes,
but
I
I
don't know
understand,
some of them
but
were, I'm sure they at least partially
understand from the tone of way that they're talking.
outraged. I just don't think they were expecting what they fucking got.
Oh no, because they put the song out and it had been out for the going to see this, and then look at the lyrics of your song.
It's a matter of, do they go in
in the culture of my people,
gay kids, and saying we're going to.
Okay, is there anybody in this chat that would not have a problem with that?
I have a problem with people just going up to kids.
If you don't have a problem with people like going up to gay kids and doing that, then you shouldn't be in our chat. You should just be gone from our chat. I mean, of course people would have problems. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We welcome dissent. But no, I mean, really, who wouldn't? I mean, except for maybe some of the really old people around here, because I live in the South. Maybe.
Yeah.
But,
So Jean-Luc Connery says they want to expose themselves because that's part of their thrill. It's a compulsion, and forcing others to accept it is their fetish.
Yes.
He's got a point. I believe I've talked about this early on in my channel. I talked about the whole Pizzagate thing, and I was paying attention to quite a lot of stuff at that time, so I happen to know a fair bit about it. And the rewriting Ripley videos, I think one of those is where I talked about it because the article brings it up, and of course they're lying about it, as everyone does. But the thing about that is that I think I mentioned in there someplace that I hadn't looked at the Comet Ping Pong Pizza Place's social media accounts personally, but I had seen at the time, I mean, I'm sure they've all been deleted by now because YouTube's gotten much more censorious over the last several years, but at the time I watched a number of YouTube videos, and some of the independent journalists that were covering the situation went and looked, and they had videos that showed their social media. I don't remember whether it was Twitter or Facebook or whatever, but it's like, but they went over the fact that there was kind of all, before it got scrubbed, all this shit on this pizza place's social media account that it was like they're trying to tell you without actually coming out and telling you what they're doing. Like they were trying to suggest that, yeah, there's some hinky shit going on here. We're almost letting you know that we're a bunch of sick fucks. We're kind of hinting at it, but we're not actually saying it. We're not doing anything that could get us in trouble, but we're kind of letting you know that, yep, we're sickos and you can't do anything about it. There does seem to be something about these people, the pedos, whatever. There's something about them that they love to kind of put it out there. Again, it's like they want you to know, not explicitly what they're doing, but they want you to know that, yeah, they're probably doing something really bad, and you can't fucking stop them. They get off on that. They really are into that. That appears to be a thing, and I've known that for 20 years probably. I've seen that kind of behavior from people who have expressed those kinds of interests.
That's a solid point.
Yeah.
But also, to answer your question, Vicky, I don't care if the kids are gay or not. Don't walk up to kids.
Just don't walk up to kids.
Yeah, just don't walk up to kids and start talking about converting them to anything.
Yeah.
Stay the fuck away from kids. It'll work out better for everybody.
Yeah.
Mostly you, that's, not Sean, but just whoever's thinking about walking up to kids. Just don't do it.
Yeah. Leave kids to their parents and let them convert them. That's their job.
Yeah, pretty much.
And sexually abused them. Well, in all likelihood, no. How do I know this? Because that actually happened for decades, and no one gave a shit. So the same people that had that done to them are the ones making the fucking song. So at a certain point,
Well,
when you're being
that's
upset about
funny
it, you have to
because,
realize you kind of did this to them.
It's funny because he's like, that's the same people that, were molested, are the same people that made the song. But also, like, when you're molested, you're,
More likely
more
to be
likely.
a molester.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah, let's not take the logic of that too fucking far. They weren't really kidding because they're just trying to get back at the people that did shit to them when they were kids. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Either it's a joke and they didn't really mean it and they were being sarcastic, or they're trying to get back at or they're saying they would do this because it happened to them. It can't be both.
Yeah. Also, oh God, I like Trump, but Mike Pence.
Mike Pence could have had gay camps anytime he wanted, and he didn't.
No, he was down with conversion therapy. I'm
So-
like 100% positive. Yeah.
I'm gonna stay away from the whole conversion therapy thing.
Did you think that they were eventually going to want to get revenge on you for fucking them up?
So,
I-
to them.
What?
It's just such a stupid fucking argument.
No, for real.
I know, that's kind of the problem,
personal
isn't it?
responsibility here. Like, I don't give a damn what happened to any of them.
Exactly.
Whatsoever. It doesn't give you a right to
It doesn't give them a right to make a song joking about shit that was actually done to them for real.
So we don't know that.
That's the conflict I'm having here, is that people are upset about
He
these.
is wanting us to believe that every gay man was kept in some sort of camp and molested because they were gay. That every man in
It
that
wasn't
choir,
molesting that made them gay.
right? That every man in that choir, somebody did this to them.
I don't think, Vicky, that that's actually what he was saying. I don't think he was saying about people being molested. He was talking about them being mistreated because they were gay, subjected to, I suppose he'd say Christian propaganda or something about how it's bad to be gay. Which, by the way, I'm as a Christian myself, it's like I don't actually buy into that argument. I'm part of a very small minority that happens to believe that the whole homosexuality thing is really the church dogma against it is massively different than the original reality of Scripture, and there are places where Scripture appears to talk about that, but there is a school of thought that that's not really what it's referring to, and there is, like it or not, archaeological evidence that the early Christian church did in fact perform same-sex marriage. So I don't think that God cares about sexuality as much as he cares about motivation. It's an acceptable motivation to, sex outside of marriage is immoral. That's very clear. That's very clear in Scripture. It's an acceptable reason to get married if you're producing an heir, if you're having children. But you should, ideally love whoever it is that you're getting married to. I don't personally believe that God has a problem with you, being gay, as long as, again, you do the right thing. You find someone that you fall in love with and you get married and then you have sex with that person exclusively. That's so I don't think that God has a problem with you being gay or even with you having gay sex. I think he has a problem though with sort of the stereotypical gay lifestyle, as I mentioned, the tropes of going out clubbing and sleeping with a different guy. It's like that's clearly something God has an issue with, but it doesn't matter about whether or not you're gay. It's just that it seems that gay men disproportionately are interested in that kind of lifestyle. But frankly, it doesn't matter, whether it's men or women, whether it's gay or straight. It's like people who indulge in that kind of lifestyle, they are being incredibly sinful. Of course, we're all sinners in some respect, but so in my opinion, it's important to understand what it is that where the issue lies. In what way you're actually not behaving appropriately.
But what the fuck?
Yeah, that's almost
And
as
the
outrageous
chances
as
of
saying
that-
that all of them are, pedos. Like, it's almost as bad. Like, it's just,
Right? And the chances of them, okay, maybe one or two of them were molested as children, but probably not because they were gay.
but then also,
And,
you can
and
say
when was
the
the last
same-
time? When was the last time in this country that happened?
Oh God. Just some guy. And like nobody's saying shit. Yeah, like Big Daddy's like, I can't believe nobody's calling out this guy on the panel. You got fucking Ricada.
He's probably drunk.
Yeah.
Doug is just staying out of
who's
it.
so anti.
He's probably busy looking at fucking Lola's dick pic collection.
Jesus. You have Crow, who's like halfway agreeing, halfway disagreeing. It's bizarre. RGE, who just doesn't want to be called out, so he's just fucking
saying
quiet.
nothing.
That's great.
And then you've got the guy in the corner who I don't know who he is, you know, who's just like trying not to. This is what happens when big YouTubers get together, man. They just can't have public disagreements.
Song when other people are actually doing real things.
I mean, like, if a rape victim came out with a song that was about, like, tongue in cheek saying that they're gonna go rape fucking kids or something. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like
that's not what happened.
No, I'm just saying. Like,
You just said that's what happened.
Wait.
He said
These people were
That's
molested.
not what he said.
And so this song is tongue in cheek because it happened to them. That's literally the. Jesus Christ. He has to be trolling, right?
No, he's not.
So he's just retarded. It's just some guy just retarded.
I think so.
All right. Well, fucking Christ.
Know these people. Nothing could happen to a lot of them. They just listen to the constant propaganda of, oh, you're a victim,
That's
the world's against you.
But isn't it also possible that what you're assuming is the case is also something that you're just assuming?
Says the
If
guy
you're
who's
willing to accept the possibility that you could have the wrong assumption, you can't ask someone else to assume the same thing. You can't assume the worst of them and then say that when someone goes,
stupid.
yeah, it is.
I don't care about the circumstances, the motivations.
The song is
Just
something that
about
no one would have had a problem with 20 years ago. This could have been on South Park and you would have found it funny.
Well, there's worse shit on South Park.
No, but just in all seriousness, if this song was something where it's like you have some conservative character from the show watching some like gay play or something,
He's a complete idiot shill, yes.
and then you're singing the normal song, right?
Well,
and in
I
their
respect
mind, this is a
JJ's
song that you're hearing, is the one from the Gaming Source. You would have all laughed.
No.
We considered it ridiculous that you would say that that's what they
stronger
think.
in the past. This is the sort of thing in the past that would cause way more of an uproar than what we have now.
If they did
It's
it
man.
straight, then yes. But if they did it as a joke, you would find it as a joke. So that's kind of the thing.
It's not a joke, man.
But we don't know. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tug finally, you know.
Finally.
I just always assume Tug assumes the worst out of everything. But here's the thing: we don't know that it was just a joke. We don't know if they were serious. We don't know if it was just a joke. One thing I do know is the song was in bad
Correct.
fucking taste and never should have been sung in the first place.
Correct.
Well, here's like I
Or
said,
at least,
I actually
while
I do
they're
think that
recording it and releasing it.
I don't think everybody there was a pedo. I do think that for a lot of them, it probably was tongue in cheek. It probably was. And like I said, the best trolls are the ones that upset the most people. But this ain't it, fam. It's just not it. There's like some things that maybe
Yeah, I think we've heard
maybe
enough
you
of
just
them,
don't fucking
too.
do.
I think we've heard enough of them too. So to sum it all up, because I honestly just can't listen to any more of this circular stupid.
Yeah, fucking Crow is out there just fucking ruining the stream. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you know he wants to, and if you watch the rest of it, it's on Kiwi Farms. You can probably still find this stream. Nick probably archived it somewhere.
Yeah.
But
It's up on Kiwi Farms.
It's on Kiwi Farms. But
chances are you don't want to watch it.
no, freaking Crow's trying to agree with just some guy and Ricada at the same time. You know, Tug.
Okay, so that's apparently that. The key moment of peak tard cum from just some guy may be his sniff test. He asks, would anyone have a problem if it was a Christian approaching a gay child to convert them to Christianity? I mean, one is to have a discussion about a Jewish guy who got crucified 2,000 years ago, and the other is about grown men grooming little boys to have sex with them. However, rather than point out that one is committing sexual abuse, the other is a well-meaning adult having a conversation about crosses and blood and stuff, Vicky objects that yes, people would have a problem. They would, and that she would have a problem. Timestamp 4214. She asked, would anyone in the chat not have a problem with that? I guess I was not, because I had it on fast forward. I'd missed what she was talking about, I guess. Everyone would, except old people in the South. Well, okay. I missed that, I guess. I did not understand what she was discussing. So you have a problem with people coming up to, it's like, well, you shouldn't have a problem with trying to save children's souls. I guess that's an indication that Vicky's an atheist, maybe? I don't know. Oh well. That's her problem, not mine. I don't know why this is so hard. The San Francisco Gay Men's Choir song, in addition to being in poor taste, what with all these sex offenders and being about grooming children sexually, is the epitome of condescending, hateful, and vicious. In summation, Doug Man bad and Mr. Dongs is right docks the choir. Officially, I must disavow any doxing. Still defending the pedo fag choir. Pedo defenders can't be trusted. Just some guy has most likely some underage skeletons in his closet. Again, I voice no opinion on that. None. this is a separate thing, and that's a separate thing. That's a separate thing. Is that... Nope, that's this dog salesman. Ah, here we go. I think he's just a swish who feels some... Yeah, no, but nobody uses that that term anymore, do they? Or, well, actually, Newman's Own, isn't he from... I think he's from the UK or something. I guess it's more popular over there. It's like... I think didn't it used to be popular in the States, like, a long time ago, and then it, you know, kind of faded out. Yeah. So it's a nice, I mean, I don't know, it's supposed to be derogatory, I guess, but it's like, I don't know, swish. It's like, you know, you know, it seems nice to me. It seems like a nice word to use. Who feels some tribal affinity towards gays in general that inclines him to defend them. I doubt he's a pedo, but I wouldn't rule out the possibility completely. His South Park comparison was pure bullshit. Yeah. Matt and Trey did not present anything approaching a credible threat when they did those episodes. Quite the opposite, actually. The gay choir singing about coming for your kids as a joke is more like the Democratic Socialists of America singing a song about nationalizing the auto industry and saying it's a joke. After... because they are way more moderate than that... or American ethno-nationalists. By the way, ethno-nationalist is a redundant term because nation is about people, not the state. State refers to, you know, the state, and nation refers to the people. So ethno, you know, that's the people. So it's not. There's no. I mean, ethno-nationalist is just. It's just stupid. It's redundant. It should just be nationalist. Singing about putting Jews in ovens is a joke because they don't actually hate Jews. They just don't think interrogation works, or integration works. Well, integration doesn't work. I mean, if you consider that America was founded by the English, essentially. I mean, there was a few Dutch and whatever else, but mostly it's just English. And then you consider that you had really just a religious difference, well, and cultural ones, obviously, but only partial, because it's not like as Muslims or anything, it's just Catholics. But you had the Irish and the Italians immigrate, and it's like, they still haven't integrated. They're still separate from, you know, from the English population. I don't know why people think that integration works. It fucking doesn't. That's an empirical fact. Or a group of moderate Muslims who sing about chopping your head off and raping your daughter as the spoils of war. So Newman's Own is confused about nationalism and integration and how that really doesn't work. And no, you know, it's like lots of people don't hate the Jews. Like, I fucking don't hate the Jews. I don't have any strong feelings towards them one way or the other. There are a lot of people who, you know, fucking love the Jews and want to suck their cocks all the time. I have no such affinity for them, but I also don't hate them. But I do recognize that just like the Irish and the Italians and you know, the Somalis and everybody else who keeps getting imported into America, they do not integrate into American culture. Now, they have influenced American culture. They've kind of manipulated it, you know. They've taken over entertainment and you know, and again, it's like that's considered, oh, that's racist if you bring attention to the fact that they're overrepresented in entertainment or finance. You know, and it's like, no, it's not racist unless I have some kind of racial hatred towards them, and I don't. I'm merely observing a fact. If it's really a joke they share in private, then it's a damn disturbing joke that indicates some serious cause for concern. Yes. When a gay choir sings that they're coming for your kids, they are joking. There's also a very good chance that many of them also mean it, unfortunately. Just Some Guy is a disingenuous fucktard, or worse, for pretending this is not the case. Yeah, I mean, again, unfortunately. Micah. Right up, Micah. There are some more in here, I think, that apply to this discussion. There's just some damn many different things. Like, I feel like they need different threads for for the different shit, different topics. Instead, it's all right. Got to the end of that. And Rule 172 of the Internet: if pedo content is defended, the defendant is pedo. No exceptions. Well, could be. We don't know, but could be. All right. I think that actually is the end of this particular one. So this has been far too long. But anyway, until the next one.